This week, you're going to get the most famous Jack tale of all, Jack and the Beanstalk. Once upon a time, there was a small family. This family consisted of a father, a mother, and their small son named Jack. Now, the father, he didn't have a whole lot that he could give to his family at the moment, and he had always dreamt of going on wild adventures and exploring foreign lands, finding whatever kind of treasure he could find. So one day, he left his wife and their small boy Jack. He packed up his bag and he went on a journey. On his journey, he did in fact acquire many wondrous items, such as a goose that could lay golden eggs, a harp that could play by itself, and he gathered up many gold coins. Every now and then, he would write a letter and he'd send it back home to Jack and to his wife. Along with the letters, he would talk about these different treasures that he would find, and he would sometimes include a gold coin. Well, eventually, the letters stopped coming. His wife and Jack, they didn't know what happened to the man. They assumed that possibly he had died somewhere on his journeys. The gold ran out, the money ran out, and all that the mom and the son Jack had left in all the wide world was a cow that was so old it had stopped producing milk. One day, the mom said to Jack, "Jack, I want you to go into the village. I want you to take the cow and sell the cow for money so that we could use that money to buy more food to eat or anything at all so we can find some way of living beyond what we have now." Jack, who loved the cow, did as he was told. On his way on the road, he came across a very strange-looking man. This strange man said to Jack, "Halt! Where are you going?" And Jack said, "I'm going to the village to sell my cow so that we can get food to eat." The man said, "Whoa, whoa, 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 young man. I have something magical for you, something wonderful for you, something that will solve all of your problems." Jack, taken aback, said, What do you have?" Because see, in Jack, he had a little bit of that same anxiousness, some of that same desire to see magic and to see wonderful items take place and what all that the world could have to offer. Well, the man could sense that within Jack, and he held out his hand, and inside his hand were 3 small beans. Jack said, "What is that?" "These are magic beans. If you plant them in the ground, it will take you to faraway, wonderful lands full of all sorts of treasure. Why, if you will give me your cow, I will give you these beans, and you can use them, and you and your mother will never have anything else to worry about for the rest of your lives." Ooh. Jack thought, that's a good deal. So he traded the cow for the beans, and he went back home. When his mom saw him, she said, "Where's the money? You sold the cow. Where's the money?" Jack said, "No, I have something even better than money and better than food. Look, I have beans." She was distraught. She started weeping and crying and screaming at Jack. She took the beans and she threw them out the window. She said, "Get up to your room and go to sleep now." He did again as he was told. He went to sleep in his bedroom, and as he slept overnight, those beans sunk down into the ground, and up sprouted an amazing, tall, thick, wide bean sprout. It went all the way from the ground to the top of the clouds. Jack, in the morning, he looked up at it and he thought, wow, the man was right. So he wanted to climb that bean sprout, but his mom saw it first and she said, "No, you will not go up that bean sprout. Your father went on an adventure and never returned. I will not let you. I forbid it." And she gave him his axe and said, "I want you to cut this sprout down right now." He shrugged his shoulders and thought, I usually do what I'm told, but this time it's too enticing. I want to go on this adventure. So when his mom wasn't looking, he put the axe down and he started to climb up the bean sprout, going from limb to limb, from leaf to leaf, all the way up into the clouds. Once he got to the top of the clouds, he peered over And across on the far side of the cloud, he saw a very large castle, the largest castle that he had ever seen in his life. He approached the castle, and the doors were massive. They were 20 times taller than any door that he had ever seen before. The windows were huge. Even the cracks between the stones were big. He thought, I think I could fit through this. Somebody massive must have lived in this castle. He fit through the crevices of the stonework, and he worked his way inside. Once he was there, he saw a couple of giants, a man and a woman. The man giant was sitting at the table, eating maple syrup pancakes and counting his gold, while his wife went around doing all sorts of other things and gathering up all sorts of other items for him. Well, the man was counting the gold, eating the pancakes, and he started sniffing. And he said, "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of a human man." Jack knew he's talking about me, so he went and hid. Together, the man and the woman giant started looking around. They couldn't find anything. Eventually, the giant became very, very tired. He said, "You keep looking, I'm going to take a nap." He did, and his wife continued to look. She eventually found Jack, and she took pity on him and said, "You have to get out of here. He will eat you if he finds you." And Jack said, "But I have nowhere else to go. If I go back home, we have no wealth. We have nothing." The wife took a pouch full of gold coins that her husband had been counting and said, "Here, take these." Jack opened them up, looked inside, and the gold looked exactly like the same kind of gold that his father used to send to him. The same markings, the same size, the same shape, everything. He said, "Thank you, thank you." And he left with that pouch full of gold. He went back down the beanstalk and gave the gold to his mom. His mom was furious with him that he had gone back up the beanstalk and hadn't cut it down at all. She said, "This is it. This is the last time. Do not go back up there. This gold looks just like the gold your father used to give to us. If you go back up there, you may meet the same fate that your father did." But Jack, undaunted, went back up the next day. He climbed back up the beanstalk, crept into the castle once again, and this time while the giant sat there at his table eating spaghetti and meatballs, looking at a golden goose, petting it on its beak, and every time he touched that beak, out would a golden egg. Jack knew this must be the same goose that my dad used to write to me about. This giant has taken everything that my father had. I am going to get that golden goose because it belongs to my family. He waited for the giant to go to sleep, which he did. And then the wife found him once again and said, "I told you not to come back here." And Jack told her, "No, this goose belonged to my father. Do you know what happened to my dad?" And the wife said, "My husband ate him and gathered all his treasures up. That man was your father. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. Here, take the golden goose." And so Jack did. He took the goose with the golden eggs and he went back down the beanstalk and he gave them to his mom. This time the mom said, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa. You've got this again. You've disobeyed me twice, not a third time." Jack said, "It's too late now. I've got to go back up and see what else might have come from my father." He went back up the beanstalk the next day. This time he found the giant once again eating some food. And the giant started sniffing once again. Oh, he looked angry because he had already lost his goose that laid the golden eggs, and he had lost a pouch full of gold. He said, "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of a human man." He got up and he started stomping around, stomping and chomping and gnashing his teeth, looking for poor little Jack. Well, his wife already knew Jack must be around somewhere else, knew that he was going to look for the final treasure that belonged to his father. So when the giant finally gave up and went back to sleep, his wife had already found a harp that could play by itself. She took the harp and she began looking for Jack. She found Jack and she gave him the harp and said, "No more. Your father has been eaten. He's not here anymore. I'm so sorry. This was his last treasure. Please leave and don't return. I don't want to see you eaten as well." But as he took the harp in his hands, the harp that once played sweet, soft melodies, the giant would listen to the melodies to help him fall asleep, suddenly started playing even louder and louder and louder and louder until it woke the giant up. The giant sat up, "Re-fi-fo-fum," looked around and saw Jack racing across the cloud, carrying his singing harp. The giant chased after Jack. Jack stumbled over to the vine, started climbing down, threw the harp down. It slid down on some leaves and some other vines, all the way down to the ground. Jack went all the way down just as he felt the vine start to shake from the giant getting on the top of it. The giant was climbing down after him. Jack quickly found his axe that had been lying next to the bean sprout. He took it and chop, 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 and he cut the bean sprout down. And down came the vine along with the giant, who crashed into the ground. The mother and the boy had collected all of their father's treasures. The giant that had hurt their dad was no more, and the family thereon lived happily ever after. Thanks for joining me once again on Stories That Pop for my version of Jack and the Beanstalk. If you enjoyed this story, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, maybe even the bell next to it so you can receive the notifications. And I will see you next week when I plan on bringing you a Puerto Rican folktale called The Squeaky Door.
Stories that pop.
I have a question for you. Did you hear me use the word halt in my story? Do you know what that means? Here's a challenge. Go back through Jack and the Beanstalk and see if you can find the word halt. I tip my hat to you, sirs and ladies.